Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Yvette from the Creative Collective, founder and partner. Yvette, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we had a chat last week and we're talking about your backstory and your journey, and it was really interesting. I want you to share it a bit more again today and tell everyone else about it.
About how I got into agency, or what specifically?
Sorry, I should be a bit more specific. I tell everyone else to be specific. When did you start Creative Collective?
I started the Creative Collective in 2007. At the time, I had a 3-year-old running around and a newborn. So not the usual time people start businesses, but I don't know, maybe with the pregnancy hormones, I had a bit of creativity in me. I say to people, I created it out of both desire and necessity. I think I wasn't cut out to be a stay-at-home full-time mum. That's fine if that's what some people like to do, but I kind of wanted to keep a hand in work in some formal description. And then I also needed to earn money, like most families, I think these days do need 2 incomes. So when one's gone, you really notice it as a family with mortgages and things, cost of living. So yeah, I started it from home in 2007. It wasn't common for women to work from home online and run a business, certainly not an agency. My background's pretty diverse, so it's journalism and PR and marketing is my kind of skill set. But I, could do enough design. I could build websites. I'd run events. I'd taken photos. I had a big, wide skill set. So that's how it started. Just me in my office at home with the 2 kids around their sleep times.
You'd be surprised at the amount of mums or mums-to-be that set up businesses around that period because they don't want to go back to corporate life, and they know that they're capable of a lot more.
Yeah, that's true now. It wasn't true then. Like, I was on television with a few other women as these like people who were doing something really different that was working from home around kids. But now it's very commonplace.
Yes, definitely very commonplace now. So that was 2007. Today's 2025, 18 years. Actually, LinkedIn says 18 years and 2 months if it's to be believed. So I'm sure there's been a lot of changes since you first started the business. It's definitely not yourself. It's definitely just not yourself anymore. There's been lots of iterations. So let's talk a bit of high level about that journey.
Yeah, sure. So pretty quickly, I realized working for myself that there was opportunity. People loved the fact they could come to a one-stop shop. Back then as well, it wasn't common to have a full-service marketing agency. So you would go to someone to build your website, someone else to write your copy, someone else to take your photos and so on. So the concept worked. People really loved. They could go to one place, build a relationship and, get trust going with that person, and they'd be their outsourced marketing. The first things I outsource were things that I really don't like doing and I'm not good at. So that's filing, administration, bookkeeping. So I got a neighbor in who had some background in that, and she helped me set things up and get it going on that front. Then, of course, from the volume of work, I started to need graphic designers, copywriters, web builders, and so on. So to start with, a lot of them were contractors. I also had a limited budget, though, and here you are trying to reinvest into the business. So I used interns and work experience students by building a relationship with the local uni. And through that process, I met a woman called Katrina Lees, who today is a very dear friend. And she's been on an incredible journey with me because she was an intern twice. She did one internship, loved it, did another one. And then life took her down to Newcastle and we kept in touch. And she said, I would like to work for myself. Can you mentor me? And we kind of talked through our life goals. And I said, I really need to. procedurize and systemize my whole business, and you're really good at that stuff. Would you like to do that? Maybe we make a franchise. So I franchised the business. She was my first franchisee. We got another one, a couple of girls down on the Gold Coast, had a lot of other people apply, but we were very discerning as to who we took on, because being a franchise model, your brand reputation is can be compromised if someone's not doing the right thing in another location. At the time, unfortunately, the franchise world in Australia, there were people doing the wrong thing. So they were rewriting the franchise laws a lot, and we were having to update our contracts. And after a few years of doing that model, we decided to fold the franchise model in 2013, at which point Kat was pregnant with her first child, and we decided to go into business together. So we're now 50% shareholders. And since then, we've driven a lot of growth, up to about 20 staff, about 30 to 40 contractors, many of whom work for us essentially full-time, or near enough 80% of their time, or for projects. Some of the specialists, so we just call on them when we need them, and others we utilise month on month. So we've got teams across Sunshine Coast and Newcastle, and we're proud to own both of the commercial buildings that we operate out of, and to be a female-led company that's been growing year on year, pretty much every year, apart from COVID, and I think last year was a bit slower than usual as well. So yeah, it's been a big growth journey.
It has been a big growth journey. Like 18 years in business, a lot of businesses don't last past year three or year four.
Yep.
And the fact that you're here 18 years later, that it's still growing, there's something to say for that, that's for sure.
Yeah, there is. I think there's a few secrets in why, if I was to reflect on why it keeps growing. Reputation, like being genuine people. We actually do a really good job and care about the results of their clients and care about their clients is important. Of course, you're not right 100% of the time. I'm being real there. But if you're keeping the large majority of the clients with great results, then they're going to refer people, keep coming back for more, and so on. We've always been really good at PR and doing, media commentary, speaking gigs, things like that. I was very active with that prior to COVID. And search engine optimization would be one of our other secrets, or not, it's not a secret, but we put a lot of effort into that. And we do rank very highly nationally for some very high search volume and highly sought after words that mean we get first bite of the cherry effectively by being in the top 1 to 3 or even top 10. We get a lot of traffic and a lot of inbound leads that are pretty amazing leads sometimes.
There's a saying that there's the plumber with the leaky tap, and the same is to be said for marketing agencies. A lot of the time that marketing agencies or full service agencies are very good at doing the service for their clients, but terrible at doing it for themselves. And you're almost an example of the fact that you can actually do it for yourself as well.
Yeah, look, we haven't always got it right. I would even be as transparent as to say it's only in the last few years we've actually taken the time to finalise a marketing strategy, communicated it with the team, consulted with each other, and now it's really quite detailed and quite amazing. But it is really hard to work on that stuff for yourself, even your brand positioning, your taglines, your mission statement, all that kind of stuff. We've got great advisors in the form of a board of advisors. And, they've sort of workshopped with us. We have an annual retreat where we'll often get special people to come along and help us work on the business, not in it, so that stuff does happen. But yeah, even recently, you've got to revisit it. We've had to revisit it in the advent of AI and really consider, who are we now? Where are we going? Even the question, are we a creative agency? Are we a digital marketing agency? Are we a full service marketing agency? We've settled on we're a full service marketing agency, but I've had to do some deep thinking to get to that point and know who we are, what words we want to put out there, what makes us different, because it's a very competitive space these days and it's changing very quickly. So you've got to position yourself for the future and somehow keep up with the current pace as well.
Yeah. So when you're talking about changing, I'm seeing a lot of larger businesses, say corporates, are targeting or wanting to use slightly smaller agencies, and also they're looking for specialists rather than generalists. So the fact that you've gone full service, you're positioning yourself as a full service agency. I want to hear the reason why you've decided that, as opposed to positioning yourself as a digital agency or a branding agency per se.
I think we really can hang our hat on that we can offer all of the services, and it's the way we're structured. So we've got different departments, and they're really like mini businesses. So you've got a web department, you've got a web pod lead, and then you've got in-house and contractors underneath that. And then we've got a content team that does PR, social media, e-marketing, all that kind of stuff. We've got a design team, creative pod. They do photo, video, heaps of design, heaps of branding, a training, consulting, strategy team. And if I missed one, our performance pod, our SEO, paid ads, social and Google. So that's how we get it right. And some people come in one of those doors. They'll come in looking for, let's say, Google ads, but then we'll say, your website's not going to convert. We really need to do some work on that. Or your brand is a bit daggy. Why don't we start at the start and redo that? So we'll only suggest those things if they need it. But we like that we can keep it all in-house. Some don't have the budget, or they want to learn it for themselves, in which case we move the discussion to strategy, consulting and training. But any which way you look at it, we are getting that income and a bigger stickiness for a client. So our ideal client would come in the door and stay with us lifetime and outsource all of their marketing to us. Also, a trend we've seen is that historically, it didn't make sense to outsource to an agency for some companies if they didn't have the budget. But now, given salaries and also legalities of hiring people, the extra super you've got to pay, the work cover, unfair dismissals, managing that staff, them actually doing what they said they could do. I think marketing's far too diverse and fast moving to hire someone and expect them to be a marketing unicorn. So the proposition to outsource to a marketing agency, fees against fees of what they'd pay for a junior, a midweight, or a senior marketing person, or several in their team to get the job done. Probably an agency is going to cost less and going to be more effective. So we've got scenarios of businesses we work with that with hiring, they had 5 internal marketing resources for a, say, 700-800 person organization and 3 agencies. And then they consolidated to 2 people in-house and us, got a massive cost saving and far greater results because it was streamlined and cohesive.
Yeah, and everyone was talking the same page kind of thing. The internal people would have been almost, the 2 people internal would have turned into project managers and like a marketing head type person. And because everything is going through the one space, it's a lot easier, less double handling.
Yeah, exactly. So a marketing manager and a marketing coordinator in that case. For a larger organization, that might be the ratio. For smaller organizations we work with, might just be a marketing coordinator. So our ideal client does have someone in-house like that to throw the balls back to us, to get internal approvals, to send over photos, to give us access, whatever's needed. And we'll always lean on their skill set and experience if they've got some. So might be that they're strong in design. Okay, you might not need us for any design or much design if that's your skill set. But if there's overflow, we're here for you to catch you back. You're going on holiday, we can do that for you. And then we can do all the other more technical things that they can't do. So we'll always look at what is their skill set and try and get some honesty about how advanced or not advanced that is.
Yeah. Now, a couple of minutes ago, you touched on the fact that this space is so fast moving at the moment. And I assume you're probably alluding to the trend around AI and automation. And it's changing the way everyone talks and expects work to be done. So how are you guys adapting to that?
Yeah, it's huge. When I first heard about it in 2022, I was like, I've got to get my head around that. It was pressure from the board that, like, you really have to get your head around this, and, getting hit between the eyes of, or you won't have a business kind of thing. And, I'm later in my career now, and one part of me goes, I can't be bothered finding out all that. Like, I thought I had mastered it, and it is a brand new game. So it's like, put your warfare gear on and get in there and play really hard. But luckily for my personality, I like learning new things. I like a challenge. I get bored otherwise. So we have dived in headfirst, and the way we're doing that is, there's a whole AI strategy. We came out with an AI policy very early on, which was, this is our spin on AI. This is how we use it. We've created an AI database of all the tools we're trialing, where they're up to. And then, the team know they can come to management and say, I'm actually really using this and I'd like to continue to, and we'll allocate a budget. So we've had to look at, allocating budget for AI subscriptions where there's reason to use them, and iterating really quick, trialing different ones. We have been running an AI webinar series lately, and it's been really successful. We've got about 80 people registered for that. Some registered for one single session and some for 3 sessions. It was great because our team got to engage in it. So there's that professional development going on. Prior to that, we had an internal AI summit to skill everyone up. But then, getting these people on as, trainees. We're now looking at rolling out an AI academy, which is a regular thing. Now, we're not saying we're AI experts, but we certainly think we're quite a few steps ahead of most. So as long as we stay ahead of the pack, we can be offering value in terms of consulting, training, etc. And I love being a trainer because it forces you to go, I know this stuff. Maybe I can learn some more stuff before the training, but how do I articulate this? And then it really locks it in your knowledge. And by sharing it with your team, you're upskilling them all really, really quickly. So we've made a strategic decision as a company to go all in on it. It's not a 1 foot in the old world and 1 foot in the new. It's a all hands into the AI, turning into a fully AI agency. Not in terms of we only do things with AI. It's we use it heavily though, and the skill level is high and our understanding is high. That's kind of where we're at with it, and we want to keep there.
There's almost the ability to create a new role within a business like yours for a dev. So previously, like marketing type agencies wouldn't have a very technical full stack dev or back end dev within their business, but you could almost bring a dev into the business that their role is focused purely on creating AI integrations and optimizing the AI part of the business.
You could, and we thought about that. We have always had a full stack developer on our team, and then we've had more, other like app developers and things sort of on the sides as contractors. But we actually see the skill set as something like creativity. Everybody needs it. We don't see it as a single skill set. And by that, I don't mean they all have to be highly technical, creating APIs and all the rest of it. But we're trying to just level up across the board and just have everyone expected to use it. And we've got internal working committees that are checking in on, okay, design team, what AI stuff are you using at the moment? What have you tried? What's working? So we're not looking at it as a single role or responsibility. We're looking at as everybody's responsibility. And of course, we do have AI consultants on our team that are really amazing and have capacity to do very in-depth AI projects should a client want to dive in deep there. But that's our approach. So not hiring someone internally to be a tech person.
Love it. So a couple of minutes ago, you mentioned that you've got a board in place. So you wouldn't have had a board on day one. So I imagine there was a bit of a journey. Like you probably would have gone from having yourself, your business partner, maybe had a coach on board, maybe had a different coach or a mastermind group, and then eventually you realised that it's time to have a board in place for the business.
We've kind of called on different consultants along the way. We've applied for different government grants. Like we applied for one, and it was we put it towards building out our active campaign CRM and all the automations. So it was good to pay a consultant to do that for us because it's just so in depth. And we were still learning the system at the time. We started the board also off the back of a government grant. So we met the criteria for it. Turnover was high enough. It was sort of for established businesses doing a certain turnover. And that was in 2018. And so 7 years ago. And it gave us the grant to create a board. And we worked out that we would like to meet 4 times a year online. And we worked out what sort of people we needed, where were our gaps. I think at the time it was a legal person, a HR person, a bit of a futurist economist, and some others. So there's one person on our board who's been with us right through, which is really cool. And then we've subbed out other people as our needs have changed over time. So once that was up and running with that grant, we now have that in our budget to pay that board an amount per meeting. And most of them pretty generous with their time, contactable in between meetings. We don't try and ask them too much, but it's great when you're having strategic chats or difficult, things you've got to work through in business to go, why don't we leave that for the board, or why don't we ask the board about that just to get another opinion on things. So it's a board of advisors rather than a formal board, which means
the board of directors.
Yeah. So it works really well and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, awesome. Now, last week we were talking about the journey that you've gone on you've used your business, you've made money out of business, but at the end of the day, business isn't just, we're not here just for business. Like, you've got your personal life as well. Business is a tool to enjoy life, investing, all of that sort of stuff. So I want to hear a bit about that side of life too, because so many people end up just being in the grind with business and not thinking outside of that bubble.
They do. So look, I love travel and I've always loved travel. So I work and do business to travel as one of my things. One of my other things is property investing. I love property, and I wouldn't have the knowledge I do without a woman called Dipna Boholt. I worked for her for a couple of years and she's still a really good friend of mine. I worked for her right before I created the Creative Collective. So she taught me all about wealth creation, property investing, trust structures, self-managed super funds, all the things we don't get taught at school or necessarily by our parents if they don't have that knowledge. But that really do make a big difference in how the rich get richer, because it's just knowledge, right? So I always had an appetite to invest in property, but you've obviously got to have a partner that is also on board with you, be that business or life partner. The life partner, the father of my children, we did buy the commercial building that I operate out of in 2011, and the home we bought had space for working out of initially and upstairs, and then, you know, had an Airbnb income after that, which was great. I separated with him in 2016. I really struggled to hang on to both of those properties, but after that I did, and after that I was really determined to start creating wealth through property. Even if I was on my own. So I did my first little development, bought some land, did a duplex in Nambour, which is a area on the Sunshine Coast that has some stigma that lots of people went, why are you buying there? It's like an old town that's got good facilities and amenities, but I don't know, some people didn't think it was a good area, too far out of town. Fast forward to today, it was a great investment. It's gone up in value. It's been a very cash flow positive property. So I tend to buy properties that I know you usually get growth or cash flow. I've actually been pretty lucky and pretty much got both in most of the areas. Look, don't think I've just had a free run with the property. It's for ages. Some of them just sat there doing not much at all. Like even the commercial building in Maroochydore that I've got didn't go up for ages, but now it has because there's a smart city being built around it. From there, I've continued and got up to 10 investment properties. I'm down to 8 at the moment because I married in 2023 and I'm actually going through a separation now. But we've sold a couple through that process, and I'm intending to buy them out of a couple. So I'll end up with about 8. But then once that's finalized, I do intend to go again. And I guess my exit plan for my business, which I'd advise everyone to have, because also you're not in business to just work in business forever. You should have a plan of how you're going to retire. And personally, I'd like to retire not too old. So I've got some left in the tank to go and travel because I love travel, as I said. My plan would be to eventually sell the business and then pay the debt down from the rentals and then live off that rental income. So, I mean, lots of factors in that because it depends on interest rates and economies and things. But in theory, that should work. I also invest in shares, mainly tech stocks, mainly because I know them, I like them. Like when Meta was about to bring out Threads, I thought that'll be good. Let's buy some Meta. I did. They went up a lot that week. Netflix, my kids love it. I even got them investing in Netflix. They've done really well. Nvidia, I jumped on that, doubled my money. So that was good. That was probably my biggest investment. I did pull out when DeepSeek got announced, and I'm just deciding what to do with that money now. So yeah, I'm pretty active with my investing, and even with my business partner, we bought a commercial building in our self-managed super fund down in Newcastle as well. So yeah, it's been good to do that stuff and feel like even if business doesn't have a good year or whatever it might be, that you have got other investments and that you're diversified with your wealth creation.
That's the important thing is as business owners, not to just have one income stream. So both from a tax perspective, but also from a safety perspective in the future, because there's always a risk with running a business that your income will reduce one day. So the more we can diversify, the safer you're going to be.
Well, that's also back to the full service agency. Like, we were going to get rid of SEO services one year when it wasn't going well, and we didn't. And I'm glad we didn't, because it's actually built up to be a really important revenue stream. Similarly, right before COVID, we were looking at maybe niching in on travel and tourism businesses, because we were doing really well with that sector and had some good track record. But thank God we didn't, because it would have sunk us come COVID. So yeah, I really am a big believer of multiple streams of revenue and diversifying. And for that reason, having multiple services that we offer and different ways of generating wealth apart from business worked out really well. Yeah.
The important thing is get good at one or two things first, rather than try and getting good at 10 things at the same time. So get good at it and then add another one on.
Yeah, it can feel like whack-a-mole when you have that many services, or when you run a business like ours. It is complex. Me and my business partner joke about it being whack-a-mole, like you whack, that game at the fair where you whack a mole and then another one pops up. It's like you whack a problem and then another one pops up. But sometimes they go back down, and sometimes they're only little moles, and sometimes they're big ones, and you've got to put attention over there. So, or like the boiling pots on the oven is the other, on the elements is the other analogy we use. You've got to keep checking them and making sure they're not spilling over, and the dishes are all coming together at the same time.
How do you go zooming in and zooming out? Because a lot of people end up getting stuck zoomed in and being stuck in the weeds. And to be able to do what you've done, at times you need to zoom in, but you need to spend a lot of time zoomed out as well.
I definitely am blessed, and my business partner is as well, with quite an analytical business brain, but also quite a creative brain as well. So we've got that polarity going on. I also think I'm naturally quite a strategic thinker, big thinker, and without even realizing it, a bit of a futurist, because I seem to just see a trend or, AI, right, I'm going for it. And then when I start teaching people it, I actually realize I'm really far ahead. And people have said, you've done that your whole life. People have said to me, you're the first person I knew with an email address in 96. And I'm like, really? And people have said, you were the first person I know who had all the social media channels in 2007. I'm like, really? So I don't even think it's a big deal. But then I realize I have thought ahead. But yeah, like I think the compliment of me and my business partner is great. I am a bigger picture thinker, and she's a really good operations person, but we can both zoom out and in, and we've had to also train ourselves. And our board have been good for saying, hang on a minute, you're not thinking strategically, because that's really the value they're offering, and they will pull us up when we're getting into the weeds. And now I guess my role, even just this week, is mentoring my team to think like that sometimes too. So we have a weekly WIP, or work in progress, with each division. And I've been finding they're just telling me, I'm working on this client, I'm doing this thing. And I've said, that's great. It's all on the agenda. I don't need you to talk about that because I can read it. What you need to bring to that is, what's your problems? What's the things that are working well? Things you need to share, and then let's start talking about how to grow this division, how new products we should be offering, what trends are emerging, what tools we're using. That's what that meeting's for. So yeah, I'm starting to sort of get them to zoom out as well, which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like sharing your skills and your knowledge, and upskilling and mentoring them.
Yeah, trying to get them all to think a bit bigger picture.
Totally. Through your journey, I'm sure that it hasn't been always smooth sailing. What are some of the lessons that you've learned, or things that you'd wish you'd done differently in business?
Oh, so many. So many. What would I wish? What have I learned? I've learned about having a vision, mission, brand values is important, and revisiting them. We had a retreat in 2019 in Byron Bay with our team, and we, flew in a consultant, and we came up with the brand values for our company. Over half a day it took us all coming up with this, and we settled on 3 simple words, which is kindness, respect, and trust. And you'd think, wow, okay, big deal. But the very next year when COVID hits, those 3 words guided us on every decision we made. And so, we were saying, with clients, treat them with kindness, treat them with respect, treat them with, trust. And if you need to make a decision without us, that should guide you. And our team love it, and it gives them a little bit of autonomy. So I think coming up with that and communicating it often is really helpful for giving your business a direction, people autonomy, all that kind of stuff. I think coming up with ways to manage the volume of work is something I would say, like prioritizing. I use my Google Calendar heavily. I diarise everything. So if I have to work on a proposal, I block in an hour. And I know if that hour gets overrun by something urgent that comes up, I need to pull that block out and put it back in so it still happens. And that's how I fit it in. I use Google Tasks heavily. So if there's an actionable email, I make it a task, and then I come back to that periodically and mow my way through the tasks rather than getting bogged down in the emails and going, where was that thing I had to do, and forgetting to do things. So I think just figuring out systems and procedures that work for you is super important. Automations and things obviously take time to set up, but save you a lot of time. So just thinking strategically. What other things have I learned along the way? Yeah, knowing where you're weak, where you need advice, and if someone's not working, to just move it on. Like I had 3 crappy accountants before I found a good one, and one really nearly sunk me in a hole. So call it early if it just doesn't feel right or sit right, and you're getting some bad advice. I think move on and just make sure you do have those people in place before you need them, like lawyers, accountants, business coaches, etc. I mean, I could go on all day. So many lessons, basically. But I think some of them I could tell you them, but you've kind of got to experience them, or else you'll probably just never take them on board.
Yeah, you're not going to learn. You've got to actually go through it as well.
Yeah.
Where do you see the industry in 5 years' time?
Unrecognizable, probably not in 2 years' time or sooner. Pretty much what seems to be coming out of the US and this AI stuff is that they're becoming so smart. They're going to be able to program themselves. I saw something this week where it was an AI bot talking to an AI bot, and then they realized they were both bots, so then they started talking in their native language. I mean, that's insane, blows your mind kind of stuff, but that's happening now. So
Wow.
We are going to enter a world where bots talk to bots, AI talks to AI, humans don't talk to humans. And then the human element will become a real rarity and something we seek out just almost for novelty, for old time's sake. So you probably will interact with a website and a bot to get the information you want, and not a human to qualify whether you want to work with that company. And then it will be a treat to actually book it and have some an actual human interaction. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff I covered of where I think it's all going on the AI webinar series I ran recently. Some of it I think we can predict, and some of it I don't think we can. There's people who are going to resist it, just like they resisted social media and resisted having a website, but eventually they're going to realize the world's gone that way and you better catch up, or else it's going to be hard to operate within it and you'll be left behind. You might not have a business. So it's moving super fast.
Yeah. It's going to be like, so there's still businesses without websites, and they're just built on relationships and their immediate network. It's the same thing now. Like, you've got websites, and there's going to be people stuck with just websites, and if they don't go to AI, they're going to be stuck.
I do think some of the services we offer are not going to exist, like building websites. You might want to pay for a custom person to do it, but there is press of a button websites already. Design, not there yet, but it's getting better and better all the time, whether that be brands or whatever. And look, some clients will just go for that because they don't want to spend the money, or they think that's good enough, or they don't have the knowledge to understand what's the difference and what's the downside of just pressing the button and getting a knocked up kind of brand. That is all a threat to the industry. And I think we've been doing some deep thinking on that and saying we need to offer more than just services as we've known them. We need to be wrapping around customer service and sales and marketing and the use of AI and automations, and having a bigger discussion with them about how they're operating their business, rather than just going, here's a website, here's a brand, because there won't be income enough from that to sustain an agency longer term, I don't think.
Totally. Now, you mentioned you've got an AI webinar series. Is that something that people can still access today?
Yes, we just finished it yesterday. It was a 3-part series, and it was so popular. We are launching an AI Academy, so people can jump on once a month and be part of a community. I can send the details over to you. There's an expression of interest on our website if people want to express interest, and then the Academy will start next month. So we'll keep doing them and updating them as we learn. We'll pass on the knowledge of all the cool things happening in the world of AI.
Awesome. So with that in mind, what is your website? What's the best way to contact you?
It's thecreativecollective.com.au.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been really enjoyable having a chat and learning a bit more.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.